Julian Croft was a ghost in a pinstriped hospital gown. The expensive suit he was buried in already picked out. The titan of industry, whose name once made markets tremble, was now just a collection of brittle bones under a thin sheet. I sat by his bed, tracking the slow drip of the four, mentally converting each drop into its cash equivalent. Leo. Julian's hand, a skeletal claw, suddenly clamped around my wrist with astonishing force. He told me, his voice a dry rasp, to take good care of Ethan. I blinked. Ethan Croft. His 10-year-old ward, a boy rumored to possess a sullen disposition bordering on demonic. He was the child Julian and his great love, the ballet dancer Adrian, had adopted. An odd arrangement, I'd always thought, given Adrian's inability to conceive and Julian's preferences. For a fleeting second, I felt a pang of sympathy for the young man I used to be, the one my own father had traded to Julian to settle a debt. Not only did he receive none of Julian's affection, but he was also now being saddled with the man's legacy. But that was him, not me. I attempted to pull my hand back, suggesting that a professional child psychologist might be better suited for the task. Before I could finish, Julian's grip tightened, his clouded eyes sharpening with a final, terrifying lucidity. He reminded me of my offshore accounts, the ones he knew everything about. A chill traced its way down my spine. My demeanor shifted instantly, a practiced corporate smile sliding into place. I assured him that Ethan was a delightful child, and I would raise him as my own. A humorless smirk cracked Julian's thin lips as he released me. He knew precisely which levers to pull. His lawyer would be there tomorrow, he rasped, his eyes closing. All his assets would be transferred to my name, on the condition that I mold Ethan into a success. A success that was manageable. Money could sculpt anything. I patted his hand with feigned sincerity, promising to forge the boy into an even more formidable money-making machine than Julian himself had been. A choking sound escaped him, his eyes flying open in a glare, and then the heart monitor shrieked into a single, piercing note. Nurses and doctors flooded the room, shoving me aside. I watched the flat line, a knot of panic tightening in my gut. He hadn't signed the papers yet. They brought him back, barely. He stared at me with a look of pure despair, likely regretting he hadn't secured his fortune sooner. The next day, the lawyer was punctual. The signing went smoothly, with Julian's gaze fixed on me the entire time, as if he expected me to bolt with the pen. I had my own code, however. A deal was a deal. I take the money, I raise the kid. Julian held on by a thread, witnessing my signature before the monitor flatlined again. This time, there was no coming back. A magnate, dead at 45. The funeral was an ostentatious affair. A somber ocean of black suits, the air thick with feigned grief and palpable ambition. I stood at the front, performing the role of the bereaved spouse, my mind occupied with expense reports and inheritance taxes. Ethan stood beside me, a small figure swallowed by an ill-fitting black suit, looking like a marionette. He was utterly still, shedding no tears, his dark eyes, like a starless night, fixed on Julian's portrait. When the crowds dispersed, the cavernous estate felt emptier than ever, occupied only by the boy, myself, and a cadre of Julian's senior staff awaiting my command. Cleared my throat. My first order of business, I announced, was a complete liquidation. The room erupted. I cut them off, presenting the dissolution plan my lawyers had drafted. The old ways of doing business were dead. Legitimacy was the future. By the time the last of the mess was handled, dawn was breaking. Dragging myself to the master suite, I found Ethan sitting on my bed. He was clutching a heavy silver frame, a photo of Julian with the ballet dancer. "This was my room," I stated flatly. Ethan looked up, his black eyes meeting mine, devoid of fear or dependence. They held only a cool, unnerving scrutiny. He knew, his voice still holding the cadence of childhood. He said their people told him he belonged to me now. I corrected him, explaining that it was a guardianship, a long-term investment. He looked down, his fingers tracing the edge of the frame. He asked if this was some kind of project for me, like how his father had cultivated Adrian, funding his dance education, sending him to Vienna, and ultimately locking him in the panic room. My blood ran cold. I hadn't even known about that. I felt my throat go dry as I asked how he knew. He had seen it, he said, his eyes disturbingly dark in the dim light. He had followed them one day. Adrian had a collar around his neck, he added, like a dog. Julian, that depraved monster. And I had thought it was some tragic romance. I heard myself promise that I would never do that to him. Ethan studied me, weighing the truth of my words. He then asked if I would give him money. Yes, I confirmed, a great deal of it. More than his father had given me, he pressed, testing my limits. "Enough for you to have the very best of everything," I answered carefully. He considered this, then held out the photograph. He offered it to me, a gift for his new father, he said with a chillingly innocent smile. I took the frame, the glass still warm from his touch. In the picture, Julian and the dancer were incandescently young. I managed to thank you, adding that he didn't need to call me father. Leo was fine. I was only 20 after all. Ethan nodded and slid off the bed. At the door, he paused and looked back. He asked directly if I was going to leave like all the others. After Julian's death, everyone had gone. And though I was the one who had dismissed them with generous severance packages, I saw how a child could perceive it as abandonment. An unfamiliar pang of something tightened in my chest. I lied and said I wouldn't. I had made a promise to his father. A small smile touched Ethan's lips, reminiscent of the one Julian wore when he knew he held all the cards. He wished me a good night, and the door clicked shut. I collapsed onto the bed, realizing my back was soaked with sweat. Dealing with that child was more draining than negotiating with Julian's entire board of sharks. My gaze fell to the frame in my hand. On the back, etched into the silver in tiny, sharp letters, were the words, "My perfect creation." Whose creation? Adrian? The image of the collar flashed in my mind. This wasn't a tribute to a lover. It was a declaration of ownership from a psychopath. Did Ethan know about the inscription? Had he given this to me on purpose? A deep unease settled over me. This long-term investment was starting to feel like a high-risk gamble. The shadow of that perfect creation extended far beyond the photograph. I decided then and there to install a biometric lock on my bedroom door. 12 years had passed. The morose, skinny boy who needed to be coaxed to sleep had grown into a 6'2" young man with the sharp shoulders and lean waist of a runway model. His face graced the covers of financial magazines. Ethan Croft, the formidable CEO of Croft Enterprises. Yet, his habit of climbing into my bed remained stubbornly unchanged. He was a furnace, an octopus, wrapped so tightly around me I could barely breathe. I shoved at his head, but he only burrowed closer, one leg thrown over mine, his entire body a dead weight. He was 22, for God's sake. "Get off," I grumbled, slick with sweat. "You're an oven." Instead of releasing me, Ethan shifted, his warm breath a tickle against my neck as he mumbled my name, telling me I smelled good. I shoved him hard, my patience snapping. He tumbled back, blinking with a wounded, sleepy confusion. My eyes caught the distinct tenting of his pajama bottoms, and the lecture I was about to deliver died in my throat. It was too awkward. I told him he was 22 and needed to sleep in his own room. He countered that he was used to sleeping with me. It had been that way since he was a child. He saw no reason for it to change now, especially since, he pointed out with devastating logic, there was no one else here. It was true. In 12 years, I hadn't brought anyone home. It was too much trouble, too costly. Time spent on romance was time not spent analyzing quarterly reports. But that didn't justify this, not with him so flagrantly developed. The sleek contours of his abdomen were visible even through the thin cotton of his shirt. Out, I said, pulling the comforter up to my chin. Out, or I'm cutting your allowance. He watched me for a long moment, his expression unreadable, before slowly getting up. At the door, he paused, his voice low. He asked if he wouldn't be allowed in here anymore if there was someone else. Not thinking, I confirmed it was obvious. A shadow crossed his features before he left without another word. Sleep wouldn't return. The phantom pressure against my thigh lingered. It struck me then, I needed a partner. Not for companionship, but as a deterrent. And, more importantly, as the perfect, unimpeachable excuse to finally execute my long-gestating retirement plan. Ethan was a success, a more ruthless capitalist than Julian could have ever dreamed of becoming. My contractual obligation was fulfilled, exceeded even. It was time to cash out my 12 years of service and disappear to somewhere quiet and beautiful, where my only task would be managing my fortune. Marriage was the key. A legal, logical reason for asset transfer and a clean break. The plan was flawless. Vic and Marco, two of Julian's old crew who I'd transitioned into legitimate management roles, exchanged a look. They had dragged me to the Gilded Cage, the city's most decadent and exclusive nightclub, under the mistaken impression that I needed to blow off steam. Vic slid a ludicrously expensive cigar toward me. He thought I was giddy with freedom now that Ethan was away on a business trip. I took a long drag, informing them I was there to find a spouse. The lewd grins vanished from their faces. A spouse? They thought I was joking. I scanned the opulent room. My requirements were simple. A clean background, functional intelligence, and, most importantly, someone pliable who wouldn't object to pre- and post-nuptial agreements. Wealth would be a bonus, someone to help manage the portfolio. Vic and Marco looked at each other as if I'd started speaking in tongues. That wasn't a marriage, Marco muttered, that was a leveraged buyout. I agreed that was a fair assessment. Marriage was, at its core, a contract of mutual interest. At Vic's signal, the club manager escorted a line of candidates to our private lounge. They were a curated selection of men and women, from Ivy League sharks to doe-eyed ingenues. My mind processed them like data points. Too beautiful, high maintenance. Too clever, a potential threat. Too fragile, Ethan would snap them in two. My gaze swept the room, finally landing on a young woman sitting alone in a corner booth. She wore a simple dress and clutched a glass of juice, looking utterly lost amidst the hedonism. A lamb in a lion's den. Perfect. She wasn't part of this world. Clean slate, easily managed. I gestured for the manager to bring her over. As he did, my phone vibrated. The screen read, "The brat." I frowned. He was supposed to be in Europe. The time difference meant it was the middle of the night there. Stepping away for privacy, I answered. Ethan's voice was low and dangerously tight when he asked where I was. A prickle of unease went through me. I glanced back at the lounge, ensuring the girl couldn't hear, and lied that I was at home, about to sleep. A few seconds of charged silence crackled over the line, punctuated by the faint clinking of glasses in the background. At home? His voice was colder now, laced with scorn. He asked which one, the Gilded Cage. My blood turned to ice. He knew. Before I could formulate an explanation, He cut me off, his voice rising, cracking like a glacier. He was right across from me. I jerked my head up, my eyes scanning the club, landing on the VIP mezzanine. Behind the one-way glass, a tall, familiar silhouette stood by the window, phone to his ear. His dark eyes bored through the strobe lights and throng of bodies, pinning me in place. Panic seized me. I grabbed Vic and Marco, hissing at them to move. We had to get out. Ethan was back early, and he'd caught me auditioning my escape plan. His expression had been murderous. "What about the girl?" Vic protested, letting me drag him toward the exit. "Forget her," I snapped. A voice, cold as the grave, spoke from directly behind us. "What future wife?" I froze, my entire body rigid. Ethan stood there, immaculate in a black suit. His face a blank mask, but his eyes were a tempest. A ghost of a smile played on his lips as his gaze shifted from my terrified associates to me. He invited me to elaborate. I stammered that it was nothing, just idle talk. In the next moment, the world tilted sideways. Ethan had hefted me over his shoulder like a sack of grain. Humiliation burned through me as I struggled, kicking and shouting for him to put me down. He ignored me, carrying me out of the club and depositing me unceremoniously into the back of his Maybach. The partition slid up, sealing us in silence. The journey home was a blur. He carried me again, past the horrified staff, up the stairs, and into the master bedroom. The door was thrown shut and locked. I was tossed onto the vast bed, and before I could scramble away, his body was over mine, pinning me to the mattress. "Father," he whispered, his lips brushing my earlobe, "why would you want anyone else?" His smile was a picture of innocence, a terrifying contradiction to the act. "Aren't I more like the one you love than any of them?" I loved money, not people, especially not Julian. I spat that I despised the old, manipulative monster. There was nothing to love but his bank account. Ethan stared, the confusion in his eyes slowly clearing, replaced by something brighter, more intense. He pressed down, a knee sliding between my legs. He asked if a worthy heir would covet his own father, if he would want to do this to him. I told him he was insane, reminding him that I was his father. He corrected me, stating that we shared no blood, no legal bond. From somewhere, he produced a pair of steel cuffs. I tried to de-escalate, to reason with him, but he just smiled. He asked what I wanted to negotiate. The price I was willing to sell myself for? He knew my entire plan. He revealed calmly that it wouldn't have mattered who I'd chosen at the club. They were already his people. They would have played their part, signed any document, even fled the country with me. But in the end, I would have been brought back to him with nothing. The escape route I had spent more than a decade meticulously planning had been a cage of his own design all along. He was no different from his father. He disagreed. Julian locked Adrian away out of fear. He wouldn't lock me up. His thumb stroked my lips. He would make me want to stay. And how would he do that? By spying on me, controlling me? He held up his phone, showing me a document. A full transfer of all his shares in Croft Enterprises. My name was already filled in as the beneficiary. All it needed was my digital signature. He told me he could give me everything I ever wanted, more than anyone else ever could. I stared at the astronomical figure on the screen, my heart hammering against my ribs. This was poison, a deal with the devil. But the number, it was 10 times more than my original plan would have netted. My pragmatism warred with my survival instinct. He was already mad, he whispered, had been since the first time he'd soiled my sheets as a boy. He leaned in, his gaze burning with a self-loathing passion, and confessed that 12 years ago, I should have put him on a leash and locked him away. Then he looked at me, waiting for my judgment. He saw it on his phone screen, the transfer signed and complete. His expression of tortured love froze. I gave him a small, triumphant smile. The contract was signed. He was a very worthy heir indeed, so generous. Ethan let out a long, ragged breath, a sound of both resignation and victory. He leaned down, his nose brushing mine. He was mine now, he murmured. And Croft Enterprises was mine, I added silently. I nodded distractedly, already calculating the logistics of securing the assets. Then his mouth was on mine, a kiss that was not gentle, but a claiming, filled with years of repressed, terrifying devotion. The pearl bubble tea was cloyingly sweet. Vic and Marco sat opposite me in the bright, cheerful shop, a far cry from our old haunts. In the past, our meetings were held over aged scotch and Cuban cigars. Now I was a prisoner, my every move tracked. "He's that strict?" Marco asked, his voice full of pity. Strict didn't even begin to cover it. I had the shares, yes, but my personal spending was subject to his approval. Any expenditure over 5 figures required a formal request. My schedule was managed down to the minute. I had a 10 p.m. curfew. It was a prison, albeit a luxurious one with a handsome warden and an obscene trust fund. My phone vibrated. A GPS icon pulsed on the screen, rapidly approaching our location. He was coming. Abort mission. I hissed, grabbing my jacket. We had to scatter. I ran for the door, colliding with Ethan as he entered. He was dressed in a bespoke suit, the picture of corporate perfection, but his smile faltered when he saw me. "Father," he said, his voice deceptively soft as his eyes swept over me. Then my 2 petrified friends. "I thought you were home reviewing financial reports." I shot a desperate look at Vic. "Save yourselves." He took a deep breath, puffed out his chest, and stepped in front of me with a misguided, heroic air. He declared that even though I was Ethan's father, I had a right to find happiness and get married. He couldn't control me like this. I closed my eyes in despair. The idiot. Ethan's smile widened. He looked past Vic, his gaze locking with mine. "If father wishes to marry," he said, his tone light and conversational, "shall we select a venue together? I recently acquired the Westlake Manor. The roses there are said to be spectacular this season. I can accompany you for a viewing." The color drained from Vic and Marco's faces as the horrifying implication dawned on them. There was only one groom in Ethan's version of this wedding. He stepped forward, sliding an arm around my waist in a gesture of casual ownership. He thanked them for their concern, assuring them that my father and I were very happy, and then he steered me out of the shop. "Why are you so quiet?" he asked later, feigning that pitiful, wounded look that had become his favorite weapon. "Don't you want to marry me?" I remained silent, refusing to fall for it. He sighed dramatically. He tapped his chin, pretending to recall something. He wondered aloud what that spiritualist, Brother Silas, had said all those years ago. Then his eyes lit up. "Ah yes, karmic entanglement." He leaned closer, his voice a hypnotic whisper. "But karma is still a bond. Isn't it, Leo?" A headache began to throb behind my eyes. This maddening, obsessive young man was the one problem all my money couldn't solve. "Fine," I sighed, the fight draining out of me. "We'll get married. Do whatever you want with the wedding." I held up a finger. "I have one condition." Ethan's eyes shone like a child promised the world. I met his gaze, my voice flat and hard. "The dowry," I said, enunciating each word. "Those offshore Croft trust funds." They get transferred to my private accounts. Financial control was the only power that mattered. Ethan paused for a beat, then a slow, beautiful smile spread across his face. He leaned in and pressed a kiss to my forehead. Of course, he murmured against my skin. "Anything for you, Leo."